I seriously hope you already know about what Nancy Pelosi did tearing up Trump's speech, because I've made like 3 videos about it. No one will shut up about it. And there's a debate over whether it was right or wrong or good or bad. Well, you get it. You know she did it. And now we're seeing the ramifications. Rep. Matt Gaetz has filed an ethics complaint. Basically, what Nancy Pelosi did strikes at the heart of tradition and decorum, and what she did was very inappropriate. The reason this is dangerous is that when people stop acting in a professional manner, things start to break down. We don't want it to escalate from here, where she's basically disrespecting the whole process, because things can and have been worse. I certainly don't think it's the worst thing in the world that she did this, but it was deeply offensive to many people, including Democrats. You may have seen the video I did yesterday on my main channel, youtube.com/Timcast. Democrats are actually quitting the party over this. They're calling it a C-SPAN, saying I was embarrassed. I will never vote Democrat again. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi disrespected the House, and that's an ethics complaint. But Matt Gaetz, he takes it one step further, because perhaps, he says, she broke the law. I think Matt Gaetz is technically correct. And as we know, technically correct is the best kind of correct. The law actually states that anyone who destroys, public records or documents is in violation of the law. Nancy Pelosi did that on TV. Everybody saw it happen. In fact, there's a video clip going around where it looks like before Trump finished, she was trying to see if she could rip it. She pulls the speech down and tries to tear it a little bit to see if it'll give. Now, here's the reason why it's technically correct. I think the spirit of the law was an attempt to stop people from destroying public record in, say, having a bunch of emails purged from their servers. We all know how that went. If someone has information vital to the public interest and they erase it from existence, I think that was the point of the law. What Nancy Pelosi did, she tore up a copy of a speech everyone already has and still exists today. It's not like it doesn't exist. So I don't think that strikes at the spirit of the law. But Matt Gaetz, as I said, is technically correct, because to the letter of the law, yeah, I think it's fair to say she definitely destroyed public records. We'll see if a judge actually takes that seriously. I really, really doubt. As for the ethics complaint, however, yeah, I think that's legitimate. Absolutely. Let's read the story. And then I've got some other updates on what Donald Trump has been doing with his impeachment victory laps. But let's read. New York Post says, Republican Matt Gaetz filed an ethics complaint against Nancy Pelosi that said the House Speaker possibly violated numerous House rules and maybe even broke the law by tearing up a copy of President Trump's State of the Union speech. The Florida legislator sent a letter to the House Committee on Ethics requesting they open an investigation and shared the missive on Twitter. Gaetz wrote that Speaker Pelosi's gesture was deeply offensive and appears to violate clauses 1 and 2 of House Rules 23, which dictate the House's official code of conduct. Her behavior does not reflect credibility on the House, nor does it follow the spirit and the letter of the rules of the House. Gaetz, in his letter, said Pelosi's unseemly behavior certainly warrants censure. The lawmaker asked that after conducting the ethics probe, the committee makes referrals to the Department of Justice for further investigation and prosecution. I don't like these games, man. I understand that Matt Gaetz has the letter of the law on his side, but come on. Look, Nancy Pelosi is a jerk. She hurt her own party severely. I think it's already bad enough, and we don't need to move into this territory simply because she tore up Trump's speech. Listen, right now you have Democratic voters saying, I will never vote Democrat again. She hurt herself. Let her slip on her own banana peel and walk away. Because if she ends up getting in trouble in terms of a legal context, it makes the Republicans look petty. So one of the things they're saying all over Twitter, and it's very annoying for me, is they're like, you're gonna be mad at Nancy Pelosi for tearing up some paper. Meanwhile, President, blank grabber, P grabber, if I can't say that on YouTube, technically. They talk about how bad Trump is. And I'm like, oh, so that's the morality we're playing with these days. That just because Trump is bad, it's okay that Nancy Pelosi is bad. Okay, you're all bad. Dude, don't excuse anyone's behavior. I'm allowed to complain about Pelosi the same as I'm allowed to complain about Trump and Andrew Yang. But this is all we get. So I'll tell you what. The ethics violation, yeah, go for it. She shouldn't be doing this. Criminal, come on. But let's read. Pelosi, Gaetz alleges in the letter, appears to be in violation of a law that prohibits willfully destroying paper or documents filed or deposited in public office. There is no question that Speaker Pelosi mutilated, obliterated, or destroyed the copy of the president's address provided to her at the beginning of the evening, Gates wrote, quoting language from the law. After Tuesday night's State of the Union, Pelosi told reporters that she shredded the paper because it was the courteous thing to do, a point Gates mentions in his letter as evidence to her alleged wrongdoing. Okay, so let's do this. This is the actual letter from Gates, and I'm going to read what the law says. Now, look, maybe it's a good thing that Matt Gaetz brings this up to a certain degree in that we'll get some clarity on the law. Hillary Clinton, what did she destroy? Like 33,000 emails. She said that she wiped the servers. She used BleachBit. Yeah, that was the destruction of public documents, and no one did anything about that. I'm not saying that, I'm not going to start chanting lock her up, but come on, man. She destroyed public records and claimed it was about yoga or something. I don't care what it was about. If it's public records, it's public records. There's no excuse there. Now, what Nancy Pelosi did was a copy of a speech. It's very different, but let's read anyway. He writes, furthermore, Speaker Pelosi's appeared to be in violation of 18 U.S.C. 2071, which states, whoever willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, or destroys, or attempts to do so, or with the intent to do so, takes and carries away any record, proceeding, map, book, paper, document, or other thing filed or deposited with the clerk or officer of any court of the United States or any public office, or with any judicial or public officer of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. B. Whoever, having the custody of any such record, proceeding, map, book, document, paper, or other thing, willfully and unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, falsifies, or destroys the same, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both, and shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. As used in this subsection, the term office does not include the office held by any person as a retired officer of the armed forces of the United States. So, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the law, I shouldn't be trying to, say what my interpretation is. And that's important. The letter of the law is clear. I don't think you can actually argue based on the letter of the law that you'd have to say she did break the law. It says she was given possession of it. She destroyed it. It may also be true that there are other reasons why this needed to be kept in public record, because the copies maybe were for the House, in which case by destroying it, you could argue we have to draw a line somewhere at this kind of behavior. Did Trump, I know I know what the left is going to say immediately. They're going to say that Trump broke the law with the impeachment and all that stuff. Let me stop you right there. They never charged Trump with a crime. And yet Chuck Schumer and all of these resistance types keep making the same lie. And it breaks my heart to see how they manipulate people into believing fake BS. Here's what they say. If you can't indict the president, like we learned with Russiagate, and then you can't remove him because no crime is committed, what are we supposed to do? I guess we have a king. Let me break this down for you. Their argument is that when it came to the opinion on sitting presidents not being indicted, that Trump maybe did break the law, but because they can't indict him, how are they supposed to remove him from office? Because the Republicans are arguing that Donald Trump didn't get charged with any crime. This is insane because impeachment is the indictment process. Please stop. Of course, many of them know what they're doing. And I've seen viral tweets where they're, saying Republicans think Trump is a king who can't be indicted. And then because he's not indicted, he can't be removed. No, Trump can't be indicted. OK, that's the opinion, that Trump has cited over and over again, and many Republicans have. But if the House Democrats thought Trump committed a crime, the impeachment is the formal charging of those crimes. There is a remedy when the president breaks the law. They're pretending it doesn't exist because they didn't have evidence to actually go up against Trump. Well, we'll see what happens with Nancy Pelosi, but I must point out there is still a little bit more in the, gloating section of Trump having won. First, well, so again, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if Pelosi should be charged or anything like that. I think we got to be very, very careful about how we move forward with this stuff. But the ethics complaint, I think, is legitimate. Bette Midler is triggered by Donald Trump's victory lap after having won an impeachment. Trump was acquitted. All right. Everybody knows it by now. The president was found not guilty on both charges, which were not even criminal charges in the first place. Okay, so Donald Trump posts this tweet. I'll show you, and then I'll show you what Bette Midler says. This is a tweet that I believe it's a video made by Carpe Donktum, the master meme smith of that, most Trump supporters are big fans of, I would assume. And it's Time Magazine, and it says Trump 2028, 2032. And then you've probably seen this. It's got 43 million views. It eventually shows Trump, and it's like the gag is that Trump will run forever and he will always be president. And it's a silly joke. It's a meme meant to be funny to trigger these people who think Trump is going to be a king or a dictator. It's not true. But when Trump was acquitted, and he will not be removed, I guess he thought it would be funny to post this because it's like, ha, 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 you can't stop me, or whatever. It's a joke. Calm down. Most people don't care. But of course, Bette Midler with her all caps, she's not a boomer. She's older than a boomer, but whatever. What I don't even know what generation she is. But anyway, it's something that older people do that younger people don't for some reason. You put on caps lock because it's like, for some reason, typing in all caps is supposed to be more, meaningful. She said, he pinned this. You think this is a joke, don't you? It's not. He means it. He will change the rules and his enablers will let him. If he wins again, he will rule until he dies. You die or both. Then you'll get Ivanka. Seriously, lady, you need to calm down. From a distance, it looks like Bette Midler is losing her mind. I wonder how many of you got that joke. But there are a lot of people who have fallen into this absolute Trump derangement syndrome world. I mean, going back to Nancy Pelosi, what was she thinking? Why did she rip it up? Now, I'll tell you this. I mentioned that video that was posted. She takes the papers off her desk, holds them down, and seems to try and test to see if it can be torn up. She didn't even know what Trump was going to say. So all she's proven with this is it didn't matter what Trump was going to say. She just didn't like the guy. And is that where we really are? They're not arguing anything about Trump. Bette Midler, you're saying nothing, okay? Look, if Trump tried to become a dictator, yeah, I'd be the first one marching down the street saying no way. And so would many conservatives and libertarians and Trump supporters saying no way. Now, another thing about the Trump video is that it's entirely possible Trump 2024 means Trump Jr. and so on, and Ivanka, and then you get Barron eventually. So it doesn't have to be the actual Donald Trump Sr. As much as I am not a big fan of, dynasties. I didn't want to see, they're talking about Michelle Obama. They're talking about Hillary Clinton, running and all that stuff. It's like, dude, I don't want to play those games, right? It's already bad enough that they do these things where like Bill Clinton is legally allowed to accept a bunch of money. And then it's a game where basically if you as an individual can't do a certain thing, like raise money because you're running for office, but a family member can, and then the family member can use that money to benefit you. Yeah, there's a bunch of loopholes that get around this stuff. But let me just stop you right here, Bette Midler. Y'all are crazy, okay? It's a joke. It's meant to make you do this. And she's not the only one saying insane things, thinking the world is ending. It's truly scary. There was an article from The Atlantic that's out right now that talks about how Trump's campaign is creating this world of disinformation. And it was really sad because the story opened with the writer talking about how they started following a lot of these channels that were pro-Trump. And they started talking about how they were now doubting reality. Maybe what you really experienced was reality. They basically said that, the Ukraine scandal, Trump was pushing back saying Ukraine, did these things. And they were like, I started to question every headline and that I thought I would be resilient. I thought my media literacy would protect me. Let me tell you what that really is. It's not media literacy. It's indoctrination. It's lies and deceit. Okay. I use a service called NewsGuard, and I mention this all the time. I'm not necessarily their biggest fans because I think they're biased, but that's a good thing. It's basically an extension that gives you a check mark or an X if they find a source to be credible or not. I don't always agree with them. For instance, they say Project Veritas is not credible, and I think for dubious reasons. But for the most part, they will give, Fox News and the Daily Caller, as well as BuzzFeed and MSNBC, green check marks. And I think that's fair. The reason I use it is a check on my own bias. While I think they're wrong on certain things, I typically, for the most part, only use sources they've certified. So if you want to say I'm biased, you're allowed to, but I'm only using sources certified by them. These people who are looking at Trump thinking that he's literally doing nothing He's just a mafioso who's stealing money from the country, which is just, it's a fringe perspective. They live in this bubble world where they don't actually know what's going on. And when they actually finally open the window to let in other information, they panic and say, I thought I was going to be resilient to this, and they slam the window. I was in San Bernardino for a protest. Trump protesters and Trump supporters. I walked up to the Trump protesters and I asked them, like, can you tell me what you're here for and what you're doing, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And immediately one of the organizers said, stop talking to them. Don't talk to them. Just start chanting. It's a big contrast between what the Trump supporters do versus what the anti-fascists and the anti-Trump people do. The Trump supporters are like, debate me. And it's actually a meme where it's like the right will be like, debate me. And the left will be like, don't debate anyone. And we don't have to debate you. And I won't talk to you. And we'll just start mindlessly clapping and chanting so we don't get exposed to any other perspectives. Then when you have that world and you're someone like Bette Midler who lives in this like paranoid delusional reality and you start seeing Trump make jokes, you're like, it's not a joke. He means it. He really does. All right, man. Y'all need to calm down. I got one more for you. There's a lot of news today. I got to admit, I've already got like several stories lined up. I'll probably get today done and record because so much is going on. But Vince Coglianese, who is host, a Daily Caller editor, posts this, the front page of the New York Post, and I think it's hilarious. The New York Post says, acquitted president gets last laugh on Pelosi, Trump's turn to rip. And it's a graphic that they made showing Trump ripping the articles of impeachment. Boy, I feel bad for y'all. What were they really thinking, right? The Gravel Institute. Remember Mike Gravel? That was great. I was really bummed because they kicked him from the debate stage, which was BS. He apparently qualified. They should have let him on, and they didn't. So, it's not that I think it's complicated. I think he didn't qualify in one aspect, but they were letting some people go on the debate stage, even though they didn't poll or anything like that, and Gravel did. But the Gravel Institute tweeted, I don't think this is Mike Gravel anymore. I think it's the young guys who run it. Democrats impeached Trump and watched his approval rating reach its highest ever. Bravo. And of course he just got acquitted. Yup. They can't even effing run the Iowa caucus right and just got caught taking away votes from Bernie. Why the F are we led by these absolute inept dip S's? Yep. Well, there you go. Man, I've got so much lined up today because it's nuts. They're absolutely cheating Bernie Sanders. They apologized because they accidentally gave some of his delegates away and then claimed Buttigieg was gaining when Buttigieg was not gaining. Oh man, how could anyone be shocked by this? And yeah, Trump's approval rating is going up and Trump was acquitted. It seems like at a certain point, the Democrats are actually on Trump's side. I'm being somewhat facetious, but come on. I was talking about this the other day with a friend. I said, at a certain point, isn't it like, why would you assume incompetence? If it was just random failures, you'd think they'd have like a track record of some victories, right? At least 50%, that's random chance. But for some reason, literally everything they do backfires. Maybe they're actually succeeding and they want to help Trump. I know, it's silly. But it reminds me of George Costanza on Seinfeld. You ever see that episode where he decides to do everything the opposite of what he would normally do and it works out and he ends up becoming very successful? That's my advice to Democrats. Whatever you're about to do, stop and think about the opposite of what that is and then do the opposite. Because so far, everything you've done has been good for Trump. But I guess I will wrap it up there. Stick around. The next segment will be coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.